Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan of SportsMemo.com, and I am pleased to have Marco D'Angelo, co-founder of WagerTalk, and respectfully stated 37 years of horse racing experience, including breeding and the betting and every nook and cranny that is involved in that industry. There's nobody better on the planet to talk to about the Preakness than this gentleman here. And he's also running hot in all sports right now, and that means you're going to get a promo code later on in the show that will give you $69 cost to get 7 days of all access from this guy. So you better take advantage of that, and we'll talk about that later. Welcome to the show, Marco. Unfortunately, I'm kind of down a little bit with this Preakness because I can't really do a superfecta with 9 horses. And
Well, you can. You're not going to get those big balloon payouts that we look for in the Derby, and obviously it was big balloons because we had the second longest shot to ever win the Kentucky Derby. Rich Strike at 81-1 lit up the tote board, and unfortunately for me, in the final strides of that race, ran over a big score for me and my horse Epicenter. But hey, we not going to have a Triple Crown this year because the connections with Rich Strike have decided not to race in the Preakness. And, that's big news. Anytime you have the Kentucky Derby winner, you look forward to going to the Preakness because there's always that hope that we might have a Triple Crown winner. That's not going to happen this year. But what is going to happen is we could still have a horse win all 3 of the Triple Crown with an asterisk, and that would be Secret Oath, the fillie. She won the Kentucky Oaks, the fillie division of the Kentucky Derby, and she said, you know what? I'm going to take on the boys on Saturday, and she's coming to Pimlico, and she's got a big chance. We'll talk about her in a moment and see if she can pull the upset against the boys. And, of course, we're going to end up talking about Epicenter, my horse that came so close to winning the Derby and getting me a big future ticket at 33-1. But that's the horse to beat, and we'll be talking about it.
Yeah, I was tailing your picks as I always do, and I have to say I kind of stood up there when they hit the home stretch because I could see that the potential was enormous, and then he came out of nowhere. I believe he ran the fastest closing quarter mile in the history of the Derby. Does that have any reason to why he's not running this race? Because I would think he'd run no matter what, as long as the horse is healthy.
Well, the Triple Crown is very taxing on horses. It's 5 weeks, 3 races in 5 weeks. In thoroughbred racing, you just don't do that. This is the only time that horses will race 3 times in 5 weeks is if they're trying the Triple Crown road. That's one factor for it. The second factor is the situation where his style of racing. As you said, he ran the fastest last quarter in the history of the Kentucky Derby. One of those reasons was they went suicide fractions at the beginning of that race, and all the horses on the front end, basically were done and back and through the field. The Preakness generally is not a race that sets up for deep closers like Rich Strike. It's a shorter distance. The track tends to play truer to form to speed. And so that's what would have made it tougher for Rich Strike. So they're going to do the safe thing and do right by the horse. They're going to skip the Preakness. Their plans right now, if everything goes well in the next 3 weeks, we'll see him that first Saturday in June at Belmont and see if he can live up to what he did in the Kentucky Derby. But we still got a decent field here. There's some strong contenders in here, a couple of what we like to call new shooters jumping into the Triple Crown trail, and we'll break them down. There's a live long shot in this race that I'm going to talk a lot about that's double digits in the morning line that I think has a very big chance of running a big race on Saturday. So we shall break it down.
Yeah, I love it when you have these big underdogs. That just even makes the trifectas more exciting for sure. So the 8-horse Epicenter, I know, is one of the horses that you do like in this race. And tie in, in the Kentucky Derby, we had the post, and they changed the post position, number 1 stall. so that it wouldn't be an unfair advantage of getting squeezed against the rail.
Mhm.
Is there any disadvantage though being anywhere in the top 9 stalls for the start? It just seems like it's wide open and there's plenty of room to run.
Yeah, in this race, it's not a big deal like it is in the Kentucky Derby on your post draw. One of the reasons you start off, you're not dealing with 20 horses, okay? You're dealing with 9 today or tomorrow, I should say. So it'll be easier to get out and get the position that you want. Now, for a horse like Epicenter, post position 8, this is a horse that, he's like the perfect horse. He has good tactical speed, meaning he breaks out of the gate well. The jockey then has a choice if he wants to go on and go to the lead. If nobody wants the lead or they're going slow fractions, he can go ahead and go on, or he can just break out of the gate, then move over to where he wants to be at and sit just off the pace. Personally, I think that's what he's going to do. There's a couple speed horses in here. I think Epicenter is going to break from post 8. And then Joel Rosario will find a spot for him, save ground, and be right behind those pace setters waiting to make his move. Now, if you go back and watch the replay of the Kentucky Derby, I think Joel Rosario had, the second best ride in that race. Obviously, Sonny Leone, the jockey that was aboard Rich Strike, if you go back and watch his performance and his decision making, find the overhead view of the Kentucky Derby race to watch it and see all the moves that he had to make during that race to get Rich Strike to the winner's circle. He made 4 or 5 split-second decisions, and they were all right. He pushed all the right buttons, hit the hole just as the hole opened, and it closed immediately after he got through. But Joel Rosario, why I liked his ride so much is he broke out of the gate with Epicenter and had him close to the pace. He realized they were going way too fast. And if you watch, he dropped Epicenter back a few spots, not to be up close to that early hot pace that was just going too fast. Now, the jockey on Messier, Johnny V. Velasquez, he made what I feel was a horrible ride. He got involved in the fractions. He sat right behind him, too close to that pace, and then he was the first one to push the button to try to make his move. Well, he made his move and got to the lead, but once he got to the lead, he had no horse left for the stretch and back through the field because of those early fractions. So give Joel Rosario a lot of credit for that ride in the race, and it did everything but get to the winner's circle. In 99 out of 100 times, that ride he gave Epicenter would have got him to the winner's circle. To be honest, I don't even know if he saw the horse coming up the inside on the rail, because he was concerned with the 10 horse that was on the outside, which he had him measured. The 10 wasn't getting by him. It was going to finish 3:10, it looked like, for most of the stretch, which would have been just fine with me because, as you know, I pounded Epicenter, in the futures market, and then I had exactas with the 10 and Messier, the two main horses that I thought had a chance of beating him. And so it would have been a great day for me. And I think he was concerned looking to his outside, didn't see the horse coming on the inside till it was too late.
Yeah, you just wouldn't think. That horse was a replacement horse too for one that was scratched, making it even a bigger story of an underdog, 80-1. It gives Jets fans some hope, Marco, because the Jets are 80-1 to win the Super Bowl this year.
I don't think they had. I think Rich Strike had a better shot, and he didn't have much of a shot going into that race.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Let's talk about another horse here. Secret Oath is the filly, 9-2 odds coming out of the 4-hole here. There's only been 6 fillies, I believe, that have won the Preakness Stakes, but in this field, you seem to think that this one really does have a great opportunity to pull off the win against the boys.
She does, and the reason I say she does is if you go back and look. Well, first of all, last week in the Kentucky, or 2 weeks ago in the Kentucky Oaks, I had Secret Oath. We bet her across the board, and we used her in exactas, and we made a nice score that day. And the reason I liked her so much in the Kentucky Oaks was her start leading into that race. She took a shot and went against the boys in the Arkansas Derby. She got a horrible break out of the gate. Then she got, when she did break out of the gate, she got pinched by the two horses on her either side, on her inside and outside, which put her at the back of the pack to start the race. After that, she had a wide trip the entire race. In the last turn, she was, 4 and 5 wide the whole way. But if you watch that move that she made, she swooped them from dead last to get up into third position before they got out of the turn. It was just a monster move. Now, in the stretch, she couldn't carry it the whole way to the wire, and she ended up finishing third in that race. It was she was right there for second. The horse that won drew off, but she was right there for second in race game before finishing third. I thought, based off the trip that she had in that Arkansas Derby against the boys, that if she got a clean trip in the Kentucky Oaks, she was the horse to beat, and she was. She did race the perfect race, and I like her racing style. She can race sitting just off the pace. I expect her to be sitting fourth in the early going of this race on Saturday. There's going to be 2 speed horses that are going to be out on the lead. Early voting will be one of them, and then the 7 horse will be the other horse out there winging it with him. I think those 2 horses, although they're not going to go suicide fractions like we saw in the Kentucky Derby, it'll be an honest pace. What you'll have next is Epicenter sitting third. He's going to sit in a stalking position right behind the 2 pace setters so that he can have first run, when they turn for home. I think Epicenter and early voting is going to lock into a bit of a stretch drive. I think early voting will end up putting the 7 away in that race. And once he does, then he's going to have to deal with Epicenter. And Epicenter, I believe, will get the best of them in the stretch. It'll be Epicenter repeat of what we saw coming to the Derby. Now, the question will be, will he be able to hold off the last charge? And so often you see 2 horses battle, one horse puts the one horse away, and then all of a sudden it's that last one coming with a rush that is a little bit fresher and gets up. And I think that's where it's going to be, Epicenter and Secret Oath in those final strides to the wire. Sentimental wise, Epicenter treated me good all spring. Secret Oath treated me real well in the Kentucky Oaks. So I won't be crying if it's a 4.884 exacta. But I do have a long shot that I think might be the last horse that we're not talking about. And it's a very lightly raced horse. And I think that this horse could do some big damage on Saturday. And that horse is the 2 horse Creative Minister. Horse is 10-1 in the morning line. And he might get lost in the betting a little bit just because of the 2 marquee names that I mentioned already. And the other reason, and I'll get back to Creative Minister in a moment, a horse that's going to take some action. And it was one of the wise guy horses in the Derby, and he made a big run in the stretch and got 4th. And people are going to be excited about him and think that he should run well again on Saturday. And I can't say that he won't. History has shown one thing about the Preakness: horses that raced in the Derby and raced back in the Preakness have had great success over the years. Everybody talks about the fresh horses coming in and the new shooters and all of that. But history has shown the horses that raced in the Derby do the best in the Preakness. So that would make, a plus check mark for simplification. But the reason I'm not overly excited about simplification, and I think he's going to get overbet, is because they're overreacting to that 4th place finish. He raced 1/4 of a mile. That's it in that race. The last quarter, he got away way back in that race. I think he was sitting 15th early on in that race, way out of the pace, way away from those suicide fractions. So the horse was never used until the last quarter. Yeah, he finished 4th. Most of the horses that he was passing were horses that were in reverse, looking for their mama, turning for home after those fast fractions on the beginning of the race. So he passed a lot of dead horses to get up to be 4th. And if you want to compare it, Rich Strike was behind him in the race. Rich Strike was, next to last in that race and won the race, and, by significant lengths to him. Yes, Simplification had a good race, but it looked better than it actually was. The race line looks better. He's supposed to have pace, being that kind of horse and never being used in the early part of the race. So Simplification has a chance to run on the bottoms of the tickets, I feel, third or fourth in your tries in superfectas. But I like Creative Minister better, and I think it's because this horse has big potential. I talk about it all the time when you get these young horses that only have a few starts. He's only got 3 career starts. In those 3 career starts, he's just a neck away from being undefeated. In his very first race, which they debuted him in March, he's a late bloomer. He got beat by a neck, finished second, raced extremely well. He's a horse that came from off the pace and was flying, just missed getting up. Well, it didn't take him long to break his maiden, because next time out, they had him in a maiden special weight. It was an even tougher class of maidens, and he won that race easily. Again, got away fourth in that one, set off the pace, made his move at the top of the stretch, and then ran away. They had the horse under wraps as he was drawn away. And then his last race might be his most impressive race, and that was, again, an allowance race with an optional claiming price. He wasn't in there for a claiming price, obviously, but he raced the same style, broke out of post 4, got away 7th, was sitting 4th during the mid part of the race, and then made his move around the turn. And if you go back and watch the replay of that race, again, it was just an absolute hand ride to the victory for Brian Hernandez. This horse has increased his speed figures in each of his first 3 starts. And as I said, when you've only got 3 career starts, the sky's the limit. This horse could make another big jump forward. His speed figure in his last race is enough to have him right there in this race on Saturday. If he takes another step forward, like he's been in increasing his speed figures every race, he could be sitting on a monster race on Saturday. And his style of racing, being in that mid-pack, he would be the one that would be following Secret Oath, making her move. So this is a live long shot that I'm going to have on my ticket. The faster they go early in this race, the better his chances are. But at 10-1, he gets in there anywhere on my exactas, tries, supers, going to help my ticket for a payoff.
One question for you with Simplification. I noticed, and I learned this from you last year, Jose Ortiz is the jockey for him the last 3 starts that he made, and all of a sudden he jumped ship, like is pretty common to do in the sport of horse racing. And now he's on early voting, so that got my attention to look at early voting a little bit. But obviously I don't have enough experience to really say, okay, well, he jumped ship for the right reasons, and early voting is actually a contender. And the other thing is the horse that you were talking about, the 2 Creative Minister. The owners had to pay $150,000 in a supplemental fee to qualify him. So I gotta believe that shows immense confidence in their horse, because why in the world would you invest another $150,000 if you didn't think he could win?
Yeah, absolutely. That you've got a couple good handicapping angles there. Let's start with Creative Minister. Anytime that you supplement a horse in, the owners think they have a big shot, and it's a big investment. Okay, the purse in this race, is $250,000. So it's not like they're racing for $1 million. This is the supplemental fee. And I think you might have said 150,000 supplemental fee.
Right.
It's not that. Yeah, it is. Rules of payment 150. That's a lot.
I think
excuse me. The 150. The 150 is what the winning horse will get. His supplemental fee is 15,000 to get in for the race. But that's still, you're paying a big number to get into the Preakness. So you definitely think you've got a shot. Now, why would somebody do that? Well, if you win one of the Triple Crown races, it makes your horse worth so much more in the breeding after the horse's racing career is done. You're setting the horse up for, if he is what you think he is, that he's going to have an after career. And that after career is what, I always joke. I said, if I could come back reincarnated as something, I want to be a champion racehorse, because all I'm going to get to do is run around in the field and get to service 150, fillies every spring. So that's a fun job to have if you're a horse, and that's what they're looking for. And this is what you call black type print. If you win a race like this, in your pedigree chart, you get the black type for winning, the Preakness. So that's the reason for him. And yes, that's a good handicapping angle. Go to simplification for a second. That is generally a very good indicator. I want you to understand that the jockeys make their money by getting a percentage of what the horse earns in that race. So if a jockey's on 2 horses, he's going to pick the horse he feels has the best chance to win. Now, sometimes there's little other reasons why they'll make a switch. If they ride primarily for a certain trainer, and that trainer's a big trainer and has a lot of horses, they might tend to stick with him and be loyal to his horse, even if he thinks the other horse is slightly better, just because he's looking at the big picture and wants to keep getting all those other mounts. Now, a little side story, Marco's story time, and it just happened a week ago. It's still a little painful for me. I used that handicapping angle with one of my own horses racing. I had the week before the horse raced, I had the winningest harness racing driver on my horse. He's leading the country in number of wins this year. He was listed to ride my horse. He rode over the week before. It was her first start of the year. He got off and said how good she was, everything else. We put him back up to drive her the next week. He was named on 2 horses in that race. He picked the other horse. Obviously, using that angle, I'm feeling, okay, he's rode both of those horses and he feels the other one's better. I don't have a shot. Well, Marco didn't bet his own horse.
Oh, no.
And Marco's horse won at 27-1.
Oh, my goodness.
In the 3 horses in the race that I thought had a shot, that we had trouble beating, ran 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. In the week before, when I finished 3rd with my horse, I had a $30 exacta on 2 horses. I had an exacta box, and the 2 horses ran 1-2 back this week, and I didn't bet that exacta. Last week, I had it for $30 exacta, and this exacta this week returned $232 with 0 money of Marco's on it. Not a fun week. So not always that situation where the jockey picks the right horse, but it's one of those things. But it is more often than not a good indicator. So for him to pick the other horse, I think in this instance, he does ride a lot for Chad Brown. He's a big barn, has a lot of horses, but this is a spot where I think it's also, he thinks this horse is the better horse.
It almost seems like the NBA where guys are jumping ship to get on a world championship team. I'm curious to know if you went to the driver after the race with your trophy and kind of rubbed it, in his face a little bit.
Well, probably fortunately for me, it's a good thing that I was here in Las Vegas and not back at my home track in Pennsylvania, because I might have said something. Pick the wrong horse.
Yeah, something along those lines. One situation I saw too, early voting trainers Chad Brown, and they used cloud computing back in 2017 that won the Preakness, and the theory is that they like to race horses not in the Derby, but then target the Preakness for a win. So, my question is simple: does early voting have a chance to pull off the win, having not run the Derby?
Yeah, it's a situation where they pointed to this race. This race, because of the way he races, sets up better for him. And for Chad Brown, he did have a horse in the Derby, obviously, that he thought was better than this horse. And Chad Brown, for all the success that he's had. You're correct with the cloud computing. That was the right one. And he's done it in the Belmont as well. Had a horse that didn't race in the first 2 legs, and he was pointing strictly for the Belmont, and horses have raced big. Chad Brown's one of the best trainers in the country. He knows what he's doing. This horse is made for this race. So he has a big chance. It's going to come down to how much he gets used early on in that speed duel that I talked about with 7 horse. And that 7 horse is one of those horses that is a former Bob Baffert horse. And the guy that took over most of Bob Baffert's horses, Tim Yaktine, had the horse as well. And now we're seeing a 3rd trainer on this horse this week. So this horse has seen, a lot of different hands with him. Being in New York, I think that's why they went ahead and shipped it to the other trainer. We know what Bob Baffert horses like to do. They like to go to the front end and say, catch me if you can. And that's, what this race will be, him in early voting in the early going. But I think it's going to be fresh in everybody's mind because everybody got questioned about it. All the jockeys that were close to that pace in the Kentucky Derby, they're going to be conscious of the fractions on Saturday. And we see it so often, even in, sporting events, when something drastic happens one game, you see a totally different style the next. And I think everybody's going to be so concerned about the fractions in the early going of this one that if they're not careful, you could get one of these horses loose on the lead and then make it tough to, catch them if they get slow fractions. You can still erase that way also. So, I joke all the time. We have live betting in sports. If they ever figure out a way that you could have live betting in a horse race, and for that split second, you can get a bet in at the quarter pole, man, my win percentage would go way up because I know where everybody's sitting at the quarter pole, and I know what that first fraction is. So I know if I'm going to be looking for the front end horses or the back end horses. But unfortunately, we don't have that. And that's why it makes it so fun to try. Not only are you handicapping the horse's talents of what they're capable of doing, but in your mind, you have to set up the pace scenario and how the race is going to develop. And does that favor the horse that you're looking at with his racing style, or does it favor someone else? And a lot of times we get it right. But I said it on several shows last week. I always do it, like when we talked about the Kentucky Derby. When you're building your ticket for the tries and stuff, don't make it a one-dimensional ticket. Don't put everything that you think, oh, the front end's going to be good. I got all front end horses on here and not have any closers. It's just like, and I'll hit it for home for you. You've been in the stock market and everything else. You want to build a portfolio that has different types of, companies in it, the stocks that you're buying. And it's the same way when you're looking at your horses. Yes, you may think it's going to go a certain way, but if you think it's going to be a slow pace and you're keying with the front end horses, that's fine. But have a couple of those closers in there on your ticket. So if things fall apart, you got a plan B with your ticket. And that's how I attack these big races.
I love that strategy, plain and simple. One last horse I have for you, Skippy Longstocking. Gotta love the name, right? That's the Longshot, 20-1, not 80-1, but who can't look at the underdogs in this race? I'm sure the betting public is supporting that, thinking that this will happen again. But I noticed that he is the son of the 2016 Preakness winner, Exaggerator, and has the most experience in the field, I believe, having run 9 races. But I think he's only won 1 or 2 of them. So I think that's why he's probably 20-1. But is this a horse you would include in the pyramids?
This is a horse that I did not use. And you hit on it. He's got 9 career starts. He'll be making start number 10. You heard me talk about the horses that only have 3 or 4 starts. We haven't seen what they are capable of yet. It's just the opposite when you get to the Triple Crown races and you have horses that already have 8, 9, 10 starts in their career. They are pretty much what they are. They're not going to take that big jump. And as you said, The horse has 2 career wins. One of them was a maiden race, and the other one was just 2 starts back in an allowance race. He hasn't raced this class of horses other than the last start where he finished 3rd in the Wood Memorial. The Wood Memorial, traditionally the last several years has not been one of the stronger Kentucky Derby prep races. So although it looks nice that he's got a 3rd place finish there, I'm not as high on it. And if you look at his speed figures, outside of his last 2 races, none of the other races, the speed figures would get him a sniff in this. So if this is what he is, it's not going to be enough. And out of post 9, he's going to have problems because he doesn't have great tactical speed. So he's not going to be able to leave from post 9 and find position where he wants. Most likely, the jockey on this horse, Junior Alvarado, is going to break out of the gate and take a hard left-hand turn to try to get to the rail as quick as possible, save ground, and then he's going to have to find a trip. So can he hit the ticket? Anything can happen. He's not one that I'm saying is a total pitch, which there is 2 horses in this race that I will say that with. I'll throw it out there. The 3 Fenwick has no shot in this race, and the 6 Happy Jack has no shot in this race. So for me, it eliminates the combinations from 9 horses to deal with to 7 horses. And I think it's the 4 horses that I mentioned at the beginning of the key horses in this race. The winner's going to come out of one of those 4, and it's going to depend on the trip.
Yeah, and those 4 are the 4 horses are Epicenter, 6-5, Secret Oath, Early Voting, and Creative Minister, I believe, right?
Yes, those are
8,
those
4,
are my top
5, and
4.
2. So they will definitely be in my my superfectas and trifectas and everything fecta that I love about this stuff. It's just a blast. You have anything else to add here for the show? Feel free to talk about what is going on at WagerTalk. We have that special Marco 69 for you, which is unbelievable, guys and gals. $69 to get a guy that has 37 years of experience. I like to say that I have 27, but he's got more than that. And plus, he went 25 wins in a row in Major League Baseball without a money line above -125. That's a fact about you I will never forget, because that is insane. I mean, that will never be done again.
If I have no tattoos, if I ever get a tattoo, that might be one of them, 25-0, because it's not going to happen again. You never say never, but that was a magical ride that year, and it was fun. But guys, to go back to that special right now, we are winning right now in every sport. I have been in a zone for the last 6 weeks, and it's not just one sport. A lot of times you get hot in one sport and maybe you're struggling in another one. We are kicking butt at the moment. In hockey, it's been all year long. The NBA playoffs, once the NBA playoffs started, we're 21-9 right now in the NBA playoffs. That's 70% for the playoffs. The hockey, as I said, from the beginning of the year has been hot. And you go back the last 2 seasons combined in Major League Baseball, we're the #1 capper at WagerTalk in Money One. It's just been an incredible ride. And why this deal's so good? Well, you're going to get every sport. You're also going to get my horse plays. If you just sign up Saturday for my package to get my horse plays and sports plays, it's $39 for Saturday. With this deal in the coupon, normally it's $99 for 7 days. I'm giving you 7 days for $69 with the coupon. It takes $30 off. You're already paying $39 if you just want my plays on Saturday. And even though I gave you the horses I like here, what you're going to get on Saturday is my actual betting sheet, exactly how I am betting the race, exactas, tries. If I play a super, if we bet one of these horses win, place, and show or something, you're going to get all of that in a detailed format for you. It's only $30 more to pick up an additional 6 days. That's insane. So head over to WagerTalk. Check it out, John. I know it went a little long-winded on that, but guys, we're
Not at
knock on
all.
wood. We're seeing it right now so clearly. Want to keep doing it. And you jump on board today. If you're watching live, we've got picks in the Black-Eyed Susan, which that is the fillie division of the Preakness. You can get that today. I've got my NHL game of the week. I got a big 4% play there. I've got a play in basketball up already. I didn't load my baseball yet, but there's going to be 1 or 2 baseball plays today as well. So you can start that 7-day package today and get 2 days of horses with all of those other sports plays.
It's a steal. It's absolutely, you can't get a better deal. $69 for 7 days is remarkable. Humbly said, Marco, I'm sharing that winning run that you mentioned myself. I have only my third ever 10%er going tomorrow, 10-unit play. I call it a 5% max best bet because we do things disciplined. 3, 4, 5% is how we kind of roll with these things. We never reach for more. But this is a game I like in the NBA quite a bit. I'm 27-12 with sides and totals the last 39. And also, they tell me I'm 16-5 with one push with my 5-unit and 10-unit best bets for the last year. So that's cruising pretty good. A lot of those wins were college football, which I think went 8-0,
Nice.
which is insane. You probably don't ever do that again. But you take it when it comes. You never. It's like in the bowling alley. Somebody, gets a lucky strike. They never say, "Oh, wait a minute, put one pin back on the deck because I didn't deserve it." We have those lucky breaks too in these win streaks. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm sure it's the same for you, John. But when you are in a groove like that, you sit down and you look at the card for the day, and it's almost like teams are jumping off the page in 3D at you. Where if you're in a slump, it's just the opposite. You sit there and, you're looking and you're looking and, it's like, you're back at, looking at a calculus problem back in, high school, it's
Exactly.
like, what's this, and you've been on a run for a good while also. And it's fun. It makes handicapping a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable when you're seeing things clearly. And it's all sports. How many times you see guys that get on hitting streaks and they'll say, the baseball looks like, a watermelon coming to the plate. They're seeing it and they're in the groove. And that's what we're doing right now. We're hitting beach balls out.
Yeah, similar in golf too. Those guys, especially the pros, they get in the zone, boy. They're able to hit spots on a green 200 yards away that, is about 5 square yards in size. It's just remarkable.
So good luck with you. I'll have to, when we get off the air, I'll have to see who you're on tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll share it with you for sure. For sure. Glad to. Well, anyway, that'll wrap up our Preakness show. Marco, thank you for your time. As always, we'll be back with the Belmont Stakes in about 2 weeks after this race is completed, obviously. So always remember 2 things with my shows. Bet with your head, never over it, and may all the wins be yours.